You are now watching The Lone Blown. Blown! Yo, what's poppin' YouTube? Welcome back to The Lone Blown. I'm The Lone Blown, aka Zach Lesage, and today we're here to go over ADP. Now, I know ADP is something that we covered on the channel a few times before, but with the Players Cup 3 coming up and the GG Tour 3000 Chill TCG event coming up this weekend, I do want to make sure that you do have access to my personal favorite ADP list. I've seen ADP kind of been popping up a little bit, especially in the non-banned ADP events, obviously. There was like Tate Whitesell with their strong performance. Recently, there's a few players who've been playing it and doing well. I mean, ADP is no surprise to being at the top tables, but I do have my own take on the list. I'll explain my thoughts. The list is in the description below. Along with, if you're missing any of the cards with it, you could always use my PTCGO store discount code ZLesage5 to save 5% on your next order. So if you're missing any of the cards for this deck, feel free to head over there. One of the best places to get PTCGO cards online. So let's just jump into it. Before you get there, hit that subscribe button right there, and let's see exactly what this deck profile looks like. So here we go. Here's the list. And again, the list is in the description. So if you want to copy and paste it right into PTCGO, you totally can do that whenever you want to do that. ADP, for those of you who don't know, it's decided by Arceus and Dialga Palkia. You try to go for an Altered Creation GX to do 30 damage extra for the entire game and draw an extra prize card every single time you knock out an opponent's Pokemon. Pretty simple here. If you're able to get off an Ultimate Ray, most games you're able to win. That's after the Altered Creation GX. You have Zacian V, which is a solid support Pokemon, which allows you to get extra energies, draw cards. Brave Blade's a very strong attack. Here, I have a few cool techs that make the deck a little bit better and a little bit more unique, or at least unique to what I've been seeing lately. ADP is one of those decks where if anyone's been playing a similar deck to this, I wouldn't necessarily know either way. So here we got the Zigzagoon, which I think is awesome. It allows us to hit for bigger numbers. We only play the one, but it's searchable by Quick Ball. So what that allows you to do is 230 plus the 30 base damage that you get from the ADP, so 260. This allows you to knock out Pokemon such as Mewtwo and Mew-GX, which pop up in Pika-ROM. It allows you to knock out, in Pokemon in general, you could go Brave Blade and knock out a Pika-ROM without using ADP. There's a few cool tricks that you could use with Zigzagoon. Look for opportunities where Zigzagoon, you're just 10 damage short. I also have the one copy of Leon, again, searchable via Quick Ball from Eldegoss. So we kind of have normal Leon, we have an Eldegoss Leon, and we have a Zigzagoon. This will help improve our Lucario Melmetal matchup. It will help improve a lot of the matchups where we just need to do a little bit of extra damage. I do like having the Aegislash V in the deck. Decigoons might not necessarily be one of the most popular decks right now, but usually when it's not popular, it pops back up. I think ADP, for the cost of just one deck space, to auto-win an otherwise unwinnable matchup, and then also to be able to beat Altaria or anything else that's just generally weird. Like, people will come up with the weirdest decks for the Players Cup, for the GG Tour, Chill TCG events, basically anything. I think Aegislash V is just generally good right now. I decided to forego the Marnies, and I know the decks that have been doing well have been playing Marnies up to 2 copies, 1 or 2. I don't necessarily find myself ever using a Marnie. Sure, Marnie Chaotic Spell can help you out against Fire type deck, or Marnie could just shuffle it down. 4 cards is still 4 cards, and they're still drawing a card for their turn. I'm not a true believer of it. That just might be me. That might be due to my limited testing when it comes to this deck. Sure, I know 100% what I'm doing with ADP, but when it comes to like someone who's devoted everything in ADP, which I don't think there's too many other players who have done that, it's one of those things that I feel like Marnie is not going to get the job done. I'd much rather have an extra copy of the Dedenne-GX, so having 3 Dedenne-GX, 1 Crobat, and have an extra copy of Great Catcher, just so I can always bring up my opponents to Dedenne-GX. So when I'm playing against that Sun and Scorch matchup, instead of me playing Marnie, I'm just going for boss game, or boss Great Catcher game, or Great Catcher game. The extra copy to Dedenne-GX will allow me to pitch my hand and go for it. Everything else about this deck is really just designed in order to get off that Altered Creation as soon as possible. We do have the 4th copy of Energy Switch. We do have a 9th copy of Metal Energy. So that means that our Intrepid Swords are going to be a little bit more bountiful. We are going to have that option to go for the turn 1 ADP if we go second. I still like going first with this deck. I think it's significantly better to go first with this deck. It just kind of gives you that consistency key, especially when it comes to your opponent using Crushing Hammer in the formats. If you go Altered Creation GX and your opponent gets a Crushing Hammer heads, you're a little bit in a weirder position. At least if you go first with the 4th Zacian, you have a better chance of getting that Intrepid Sword off, drawing extra cards. There's a lot of things and benefits to going first. I mean, beyond that, the deck is very consistent. It's very basic. It's very bland. ADP is the type of deck that I don't necessarily think requires a lot of testing to play at a basic level. And playing at a basic level could be just boss game, stumbling your way into top cut. So if you're a newer player to the game and you have one of those ADP League Battle decks, this is exactly how I would update the deck. This is a very, very easy list to play. I'd say that ADP is a difficult deck to master. And there's a lot of cool things that I just think are in this list, like Viridian Forest over Energy Spinners, just so that's your chaotic swell space, so that you don't have all these extra cards. You can get around those Wondrous Lab. I know when I was playing Colossal, a lot of ADP decks that I ran into had no Stadium cards. So that means a single Wondrous Lab, if your opponent ever teched that card, means that you could just fall victim to Crushing Hammers and just folds. It's just another way for you to get back in the matchups. So between all the sequencing, between discarding cards with Quick Ball, playing cards in a certain order, things like that are really going to help you see success with this deck. And I mean, it's something that I think that you'll learn eventually by watching this channel. I'd like to put in a future video at the time of creation of this video. Maybe it's already up in the future, a couple months from now. I'm not sure. We'll see exactly what the future beholds. But to me, I think this is a very solid ADP list. This is kind of where I'm at right now. I think it's super consistent for the Players' Cup 2. I think this would be a great way to play the deck in any of best of 1 events, but this is a very best of 1 centric list. I think for best of 3, you can cut some of the consistency cards, like an extra copy of Energy Switch, like that extra copy of Zacian V. Maybe even changing up the Viridian Forest, because 2 out of 3 is going to change how this deck plays out a lot. So you can get a little bit of wiggle room back, but this is kind of like my best of 1 deck, my consistent version of ADP. If you want a little bit more of a teched out version, you could check some of the other videos that I've made on this channel. Haven't covered ADP in a minute, but here we are. We're going to play some games, see exactly how the deck goes, and yeah, let's see how it goes. So here we are, playing the game out. We're going to call Tails. I mean, it doesn't necessarily matter what we call. And with most decks wanting to go second, there's a good chance of us going first, but I mean, here we go. It's fine. Our opponent's going first for some reason. I'm not entirely sure what type of deck they're playing, but we started with Aegislash. Again, not the greatest starts. Our opponent's starting with Dub Wool. Maybe you're playing some kind of Lapras deck. Galarian Darmanitan. Not the strongest turn for them, nor for us either. I am going to go ahead and just try to go for the ADP. We can check through here, see what else is prized. But I mean, ADP is usually going to be our first step every single game. I think we're fine here. So there's ADP. There's our energy. Sucks that we're going to let go of a Metal Saucer, but it is what it is. Don't really care too much about what else is going on here. I'm just going to pitch this hand again. Nothing else in this hand, in terms of math or anything like that, that matters. I am going to go Viridian Forest, switch into this. I could probably pop a third one, but I don't know if I necessarily want to do that. I'm just going to get rid of... Yeah, I'll pop a third one. That's fine. If I just got a Metal Saucer Energy Switch, the turn 1 ADP sounds great. We did not get it. This is kind of a really awkward hand, but that's okay. We're just going to go ahead here and vibe out. The fact that we didn't see a single Quick Ball or Zacian 8 cards out of the deck, that's really the more awkward thing than anything else. So depending on what our opponent does, I'm just going to attach an energy to the active. I think that's clearly our best option right now. And the thing is, you're going to get some awkward hands when you're playing Pokemon. That's just pure facts. opponent with the Keldeo V. Looks like they're just getting set up, but they are putting down 2 prize card Pokemon for us. So there's a 2 prize card Pokemon. There's another 2 prize card Pokemon. So our options are basically going to hover around these 3 Pokemon right here. And what we want to knock out. So we'll win the game in about 3 turns. Or at least we should win the game in about 3 turns. I'm not too worried about what our opponent's going to do, unless, of course, they get out a Frostmoth and get out a large attack this turn. So, I'd argue that we're pretty safe right now in this game. Capo Toughness doesn't necessarily matter too much here. And there's the Wave Splash, 40 damage. So I think we're safe here just to go attach. In case our opponent plays Marnie, I wouldn't mind having an Air Balloon on the Crobat. I'm putting it on the Crobat because the Crobat has more HP here. There's a higher chance that the Dedenne-GX, if our opponent plays like a Cramorant V or something like that. Not saying that they would or anything like that. It's just something that they could. I'm going to go ahead here, go for the Altered Creation GX. And of course, our strategy now is trying to go boss game. Or Great Catcher boss game. We've already pitched 2 boss orders and a Great Catcher, but we do have access to Eldegoss, and we do have access to another Great Catcher, and we have 2 boss. So next turn, we should be able to hit it. Maybe our opponent will also just sacrifice something else to us. They're struggling to set up. So even though that our setup was quite poor this game, and I mean, I'd say we got quite unlucky, it doesn't necessarily matter at this time. Because they're not knocking out our Pokemon, and we should be able to knock out one of their Pokemon this game. Okay, so they finally got out the Frostmoth. This is where we might see an attack. We might see the Double go after us and knock us out. Well, the Double wouldn't be able to knock us out, I should say. It would only be able to do 120 damage, but it could attack. We're really just waiting for what our opponent could do here. Okay, there's an energy retrieval. There's another Keldeo V. Awesome. Maybe our opponent will attack with the Keldeo V. If they attack with the Keldeo V, that would be awesome for us because we could just get the Leon knockout doing the 180 damage plus the extra 30 to do 210. They might really... Oh, they're just going to go Wave Splash again. Interesting. So let's go Cherish Ball, look through our deck. We do have access to the Eldegoss. Mawile, with our opponent having a full bench, is a card that we're going to discard with the Dedenne-GX. We still have a Great Catcher. We still have a Boss's Orders. So, I mean, I feel pretty confident in this, but let's go ahead and switch here because we still have options. We could always free retreat as well. I'm just going to pitch this hand away. And we're looking for a Great Catcher or a Boss. So there's a Great Catcher and a Boss. Or sorry, not a Great Catcher. We can use Eldegoss or Boss. I think we just want to go Quick Ball. Quick Ball, discarding an Air Balloon. Do we still have access to Switch? Yes, we still have access to a Switch. Actually, we'll discard a Water Energy. The Water Energy is probably not going to matter. Zacian V, let's go Boss Orders, something up for 180 damage. You want to choose usually the Pokemon that has the most. So Crobat here is better because we could always Great Catcher that Dedenne-GX. Let's retreat here. And let's go ahead and go Ultimate Ray. So the Ultimate Ray is going to power up our Zacian V. We also could have powered up our Aegislash, but that's okay. So Metal Energy. Metal Energy, and I'm just going to put the Water Energy here onto the Aegislash V. That means that we could get free retreat with our Air Balloon if our opponent ever tries to stall us with the boss's orders. I mean, again, it's not like we're putting ourselves in a game losing position if that were to happen. But here, it should just be as simple as us attaching an energy or searching it out with the Viridian Forest and knocking out the double. The double is going to be having 210 HP. The soft wool basically treats it as 240. So 230 plus 30, 260 is enough to knock out the double. We do have to watch out for, actually we don't need to watch out for anything because these only have up to 260 HP. So as long as our opponent does not have any way to take any energies off of our Zacian V, we have game in hands. Okay, there's an extra energy, and I think our opponent's probably just going to take the knockouts. Okay, there's the Marnie. The Marnie is going to take our hand away. So we don't have the boss orders if our opponent does anything spooky, but we're just looking for the Metal Energy with either the Metal Saucer or from our Viridian Forest. We could also search out the boss with the Quick Ball, so we're kind of fully all in here. Again, our opponent's not really playing the most meta deck, so we might have had a few extra turns here, but in general, this did show how the deck could set up with a really rough game, and I kind of like showing that first. I mean, I'm just playing random games on the ladder recording it. That's what's going to happen with these series. Sometimes you're going to get a rough hands. But if you're playing in the Players' Cup, this very well could have been a Players' Cup event. Our opponent's kind of playing a tournament-ready deck, I'd say. So it's something that you definitely could have run into. You just got to look at the prize card amounts for these Pokemon. So, I mean, we're going to go ahead and we can knock out the Dedenne-GX. I find whenever it gets to anything weird, when it comes to things like Cape of Toughness, it's better to play safe than not. Because I don't want to be like, oh, I'm off by 10 damage or something. And our opponent might just concede. You want to know what? Let's just go ahead for it. We got it. Our opponent already conceded, basically, with a well played. So there's the knockout. It's all good. But what I was going to say is you could use the Eldegoss there, bring up the Dedenne-GX if you're unsure about the math. Just make sure you're on point because you don't want to be short by 10 damage with this deck. Okay, so we're going to call the coin flip. Let's call tails. And we lost the coin flip again. And we are going to go first. Like I said, kind of last game, a lot of players will allow us to go first just because. I feel pretty good with this hand. We're going to be able to search out an ADP as long as we have ADP in the deck. I mean, fingers crossed we are playing an ADP deck. Attach an energy and go for an Intrepid Sword. So let's see what happens here. So it looks like we are playing against Pikarom. We do want to attach a Metal Energy first to the Pikarom, or to our ADP. Yep, we do have ADP. And the only reason why we want to attach the Water Energy first is because our opponent probably plays the Crushing Hammer card. We're going to go ahead here and go, yeah, ADP. I don't see what else I'd really want to do here. I'm just going to go Crushing Hammer, or not Crushing Hammer. Playing the Metal Energy to avoid the Crushing Hammer on the Water Energy and Intrepid Sword. You can tell my mind's just like... So, if our opponent does not get a Marnie or a Crushing Hammer, I like the position that we're in. I really like our hand right now. The fact that they're playing a Reset Stand makes me think that they're not playing a Marnie. And honestly, I'm totally fine with this hand as well. If anything, this hand gives us more options. The way for us to beat Pikarom is for us to get set up through whatever obstacles they toss at us. And the fact that our opponent put the Mewtwo down, we want to make sure that we have the Zigzagoon in this matchup. Maybe our opponent plays Big Charm, maybe they do not. Maybe our opponent is playing Lightning Mewtwo. But the fact that they are just going for Boltons onto the Mewtwo is great for us. That being said, we're just going to go ahead here and... Air Balloon, Water Energy. We're just gonna keep it. We're gonna keep it real. Let's go ahead and go Cherish Ball again. We can get this ADP just in our hands. If we had the Mawile in the deck, this would be a great turn to Mawile. Our opponent has 4, 5, 6, 7 cards in their hands. Probably a good chance that there's some Dedennes and stuff like that hiding in there. And you wanna know what? I'm just chill with this hands. So we're gonna go ahead here and go Altered Creation GX. So if our opponent goes ahead and goes Tandem Shock, if they put a Raichu in there, we will be completely fine. If our opponent goes ahead and discards a Metal Energy, for example, we do have the Metal Saucer. Got a lot of outs here. We got the Viridian Forest. We can use Quick Ball to grab it to Dedenne-GX. So our opponent's really just going to probably force on these higher HP Pokemon. The Leon and Galarian Zigzagoon are going to come out clutch in this game. The fact that our opponent did put down a copy of the Aurora Energy does show that they are playing the Lightning Mewtwo deck instead of playing Pikarom. Probably just going to hit us full blitz. Yep, that's completely fine if you ask me. Okay, so we just want to... Let's go Viridian Forest. Let's get set up here. So let's go Viridian Forest. We're going to do this. We can grab another Water Energy. So we are going to have to go ahead and attack with this. There's our Metal Saucer. Quick Ball, the ADP. And there's a Dedenne-GX. I'm fine to just totally let this hand go as we continue to search for other options. Oh, it's so tempting to just go for it now. I think we just go ahead here and attack into... Yeah, we're going to attack into this Mewtwo right here. And we're going to go 1 energy there, 1 energy to the Dedenne-GX, because we still have energy switch in the deck as well. So our plan is to attack the Mewtwo. So again, attacking the Mewtwo should be allow us to get there. Maybe they'll go for Miraculous Duo. I'm cool with that too. The fact that they're probably just going to go in Miraculous Duo. Although it doesn't happen. I'm going to give our opponent the surprise face. It doesn't happen too often. So Miraculous Duo there. But we are going to be able to go Zigzagoon and knock out our opponent's active Pokemon. And they did Marnius, but that's okay. So we do have the Quick Ball being able to search out that Zigzagoon to get the knockouts. That is something that we do need to consider here. Okay, so their opponent's going to go for the Miraculous Duo. We would be drawing 4 prize cards too there, so that's kind of the biggest thing that I like to think of, is that we're going to be drawing 4 prize cards. So I'm going to go ahead, Quick Ball, just away the Great Catcher. I think just drawing the 4 prize cards is way bigger. And let's go ahead and go Brave Blade. Don't think our opponent should be able to take a knockout on the Zacian. They've already used their GX attack as well, so... See, we got the Mawile. We got a pretty, we can explore this hand pretty well. And our opponent's played 2 reset stamps, so I mean, I fully expect that we're getting Marnied this turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, maybe they'll attack us with the Boltons. That's interesting. Okay. Okay, so we can go Cherish Ball here. I'm fine with the Mawile-GX going down. And let's go ahead and... The question is, do I want to play the boss's orders? I mean, we still have Great Catcher in the deck. We still have a few other boss orders. Let's just power this up. Let's put this down onto the Zigzagoon, and let's just see what we can do here. So we do have the switch. For me, I'm not too worried about the energy switch at this point. And I think we have game with the boss, yes. Sometimes you just want to confirm. Yeah, and our opponent's just going to concede there. Pretty easy. No worries. Okay, so our opponent's calling the coin flip. No big deal. We'll see exactly how it goes. We lost the coin flip for the 3rd game in a row. That's okay. Okay, our opponent's starting first. That's fine. Bit of a weird hand here. I'm going to start with the Mawile. Yeah. I think Mawile is better to start with in this case. I mean, we're probably playing against ADP Mirror. Oh, we're playing against Luke Metal. Interesting. Okay. So, I mean, I don't necessarily feel as bad about starting with the Mawile. We're going to go ahead, Cherish Ball, search here. We do have water energies. You always want to make sure that you have ADP water energies. You can search it a little bit more. You can see that we have Metal Saucers and other things prized. But our extra energies are going to be certainly helpful here. Let's just go ahead and go Dedenne-GX. And our Viridian Forest is coming in clutch for us. So I'm going to go ahead and go Viridian Forest. Viridian Forest discarding the Cherish Ball. Searching our deck for a Metal Energy. So there's the Metal Energy there. We can put the Air Balloon there. Part of me really, like, I'm worried that our opponent will have... I mean, we just can't leave the Leon in there forever. I'm going to go ahead with the research. I was just, like, debating that our opponent could probably get away with a few things. But that's fine. Let's go Quick Ball this away. Search your deck for a Zacian. We can start using Intrepid Sword. So we do have the energy switch. We do have all those other good things that are going to be helpful here. So we really want to hold on for the energy switch, start getting powered up after our opponent goes for the Full Metal Wall GX. There's the Metal Goggles. Maybe our opponent will just play a Marnie, or they don't have a... Yeah, Marnie's typically what they're holding on to. Usually the supporter that they play the most, especially when we get to a certain hand size. They just try to disrupt us whenever possible. And I mean, our hand sucks here, but that's fine. Okay, so let's go ahead here and go for Viridian Forest. I'm going to discard through the Aegislash, grab a Water Energy, and I'm actually going to do a really interesting play here. I'm going to bring up their Zacian V. So just going ahead, boss orders, bring that up, so that our opponent's forced to retreat out of it somehow. We're going to go Altered Creation GX. So yeah, there's the Viridian Forest. Yeah, our opponent could get out of the active spot with a switch, but we do have the Altered Creation GX there. Okay, but it did waste one of our switch for our opponents, and that's fine. And this is where it starts going down. Our opponent's going to take a lot of energies away in a single turn, so That's cool. We did get rid of that, okay. Let's just go ahead, quick ball, pitch this away then. Searching our deck for the Dedenne-GX. Let's go ahead and go for the Intrepid Sword. So this is a pretty rough matchup for us at times. Hopefully the Leon can come in clutch, but we're really looking for those Metal Saucers that we did prize this game. If our opponent puts down other Pokemon like the Zacian V, that's really where they just overbench, especially if they do not have the Metal Goggles for them. So, just kind of got a vibe out here. Okay, so we do have the Zacian V here. And, I mean, our opponent is going to go ahead and Marnie, although we will have access to that. How many air balloons have we used, and how many switches have we used? One switch. So tough. I am just going to go ahead here and switch out just so that we have that out when our opponent does go for the Marnie. I'm going to send up a Dedenne-GX because at least the Mawile-GX can attack. And I'm going to go for the Intrepid Sword. So none of the metal energies that we were looking for. Hopefully our opponent does not get out a Crushing Hammer, but we do want to go Boss's Orders knockout on that Zacian V this upcoming turn. Hopefully our opponent is unable to find a Metal Goggles out of those 5 cards. Yep, and that's really, this was a really bad turn for us. I can't stress that enough. That was utterly terrible. Like almost unwinnably bad. Okay, new strategy. We're gonna go ahead and hit it once with Mawile. And we're just gonna leave our hand as is. We're gonna hit it once with the Mawile, then attack with the Zacian V. Trying to get out maybe a Leon or something like that, if anything else gets weird. So attack with Mawile, prize card number 1, are doing damage number 1. Oh, they're gonna go right in. That's not gonna be helpful for us. And the fact that they're getting the boss orders off is not, that's the worst case scenario for us. Because now they have the extra energy that they could just retreat. So they're telling us that they have an energy in hand. Or a Metal Saucer. Yeah, I don't see us winning this game. Okay, so we're going to attack into the Lucario Melmetal. That's going to be our best case scenario here. So we're going to do that. Bring this up, and hopefully this works. Sometimes you got to shoot your shot, right? And if it's not going to work, it's not going to work anyways. So we're going to go ahead and go Wily Bites. So we're doing 100. We have no more access to Metal Saucer as far as I'm concerned when we check through our prize cards. Really awkward attack into that Luke Metal, and then they're going to get the knockouts here. So our opponent, we're not going to be able to respond with a knockout here because we don't have Metal Saucer. Our opponent can retreat. So we're just going to give them the well played. and we're going to concede the game. Sometimes it happens. Was not the best game for us to beat Luke Metal. And there we have it, folks. I mean, I showed you exactly how the deck plays out. The Leon didn't really work as well as I wanted to in the games shown, but it has worked for me in testing. So maybe let me know in the comments below if it's been working for you if you give this deck a try. Maybe you'll have a little bit more luck, especially in that Luke Metal matchup or matchups where it counts. We saw that the Galarian Zigzagoon did put in some cool work though, and the Viridian Forest were really nice throughout the game. So I really kind of like this easygoing kind of basic ADP list right now. I'm not a huge fan of the big charms, but that might change for me if I test them a little bit more. I think it's really just more like Eternatus dependent. I haven't really found them to be too helpful in other matchups. But again, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. I really appreciate all of y'all watching this video up until this point and supporting the channel. We've seen a lot of massive growth over the past month or so, and I really appreciate all of you for contributing to it. If you're not already a subscriber, consider subscribing. We've got a lot of great content on the channel, and I'd love to put out even more great content as we go forward. Again, it's been the Lone Blonde. I gotta get creating some more content, so I'll catch up with all y'all later. Have yourself a great one. Peace. Really hope that you enjoyed watching that video. I totally enjoyed making it. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like the video, share the video with everyone that you know, and subscribe to the channel as well. Totally appreciate all the support. We got a lot of cool things happening on the channel, so stay tuned for more. Be sure to check out the social links in the description. Thanks and have yourself a great one.